When we think about cybersecurity, we often picture complex code and high-tech defenses. But what if I told you the biggest vulnerability isn't digital at all? It's us. It's our own minds. So today, we're diving deep into social engineering. Think of it as the art of hacking people, not passwords. We're going to look at how it works and, crucially, how you can protect yourself from it. Okay, so picture this. You get an email like this one. It seems legit, right? And it's urgent. That little moment of doubt, that feeling that you should comply, that's exactly where social engineering gets its power. It's an attack that's not aimed at your machine. It's aimed squarely at you.
So, what are we really talking about when we say the art of human hacking? Before we can even think about building up our defenses, we've got to understand the playbook. Let's break it down.
Really, at its core, social engineering is all about getting around digital security by targeting our very human emotions. These attackers, they play on our natural instincts, our trust, our fear, our curiosity, to trick us into doing things we know we shouldn't. Like clicking that sketchy link, wiring money, or giving up a password. It's basically the oldest con game in the book, just given a 21st century makeover.
All right, so we've got the definition down. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at some of the most common tactics out there. We'll start with the attacks that twist the communication tools we use every single day, like email, into weapons of deception. First up is something called prepending. And honestly, it's so simple, it's brilliant. All an attacker has to do is slap a re or FW at the beginning of an email subject. Instantly, it looks familiar. Your brain just assumes it's part of a conversation you're already having, and just like that, your guard goes down. It's a tiny, tiny change, but the psychological effect, it's massive. Then you have hoaxes, and these are tricky because they prey on our natural instinct to help people out. They'll cook up some fake threat, maybe a new computer virus or a scary security warning, and then they'll beg you to spread the word. And when you do, you just become a part of their scheme without even realizing it. You're helping them spread their misinformation far and wide.
And how about this one? I think we've all been there. You're typing a web address in a hurry, and you make a typo. Well, that's exactly what typo squatting is banking on. Attackers will buy up domains that are super close to popular ones, maybe just one letter off. You make that one little slip up and boom, you're on a fake site that looks just like the real thing, all set up to steal your login details. It's a trap that uses our own simple mistakes against us. This idea of seeding a tip jar, it actually points to a really powerful psychological principle called consensus or social proof. Think about it. We're naturally inclined to do what other people are doing. It's a kind of mental shortcut. And while it's usually helpful, attackers know exactly how to exploit it. If they can make it look like everyone else is going along with something, the pressure on you to do the same becomes immense. It makes it so much harder to be the one person who says no. Okay, so we've talked about deception, but some of the most powerful attacks take it a step further. They use impersonation. And this is where it gets really dangerous, because the attacker isn't just trying to trick you, they're trying to become someone you already trust. You can think of impersonation as the skeleton key that can unlock almost any door. I mean, if an attacker can successfully pretend to be your boss or a colleague from IT or even a trusted vendor, all the normal red flags just disappear. Suddenly, a request for sensitive info or an urgent wire transfer doesn't seem so strange anymore. And this is a good time to clear something up, the difference between identity theft and identity fraud. They're related, but they're not the same thing. Theft is just the first step. It's stealing the data, right? Your username, your password, your credit card number. But fraud, that's what they do with it. That's using your identity to cause damage, whether it's opening new accounts or committing crimes in your name. So think of it this way. Theft is the break-in, but fraud is when they start taking all your stuff. So everything we've talked about so far has been pretty focused on one-on-one attacks. But what happens when you take these same psychological tricks and apply them on a massive scale? What if the target isn't just one person or one company, but an entire country? Well, that's when we get into what are called influence campaigns. Basically, influence campaigns are social engineering played on the world stage. We're talking about nation-states using things like disinformation and psychological manipulation to try and sway public opinion. It's a huge part of modern hybrid warfare. The whole goal is to create chaos and change how people think and act, all without ever firing a single bullet. And you might be thinking, well, that sounds like something for governments to worry about. But that's not the case anymore. In today's world, with social media, every single one of us can be a target. Your social media feed has become the new battlefield. Every single like, every share, every comment, it can all be part of a much, much bigger game. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time understanding the threats. That's step one. But now for the really important part. How do we fight back?
let's get into the practical, hands-on stuff you can actually do to build up your own defenses. How do you go from being a potential target to being the person they can't crack? Honestly, your best weapon is just a healthy dose of skepticism. Just pause. Don't take every email or message at face value. If a request seems even a little bit weird or overly urgent, take a second to verify it. Use a different channel, pick up the phone, or send a separate message. Double-check those sender email addresses. For things like payments, always stick to the official process, no exceptions. And look, this is the big one. If your gut tells you something is wrong, listen to it, report it. That vigilance right there is your personal firewall. So I want to leave you with this thought. We're moving into an era where artificial intelligence can create deep fakes that perfectly mimic someone's voice, their face, everything. When that happens, our old ways of verifying who someone is, well, they're just not going to work anymore. So the real question is, what's left? What can we rely on to prove identity when we can't even trust what we see and hear? That, right there, is the next big challenge in the world of social engineering.